Bum-ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Bum-ba-ba-dum. I'm Jeremy. Hey, guys. Bum-ba-da-bum. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance, everybody. You all know me. I'm a certified CPA accountant. I'm a long-term boglehead investor, and I'm older than you. Today, we have a special guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself, B. Smith?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name is Brad. I'm the host of Own the Chaos. I have a YouTube channel as well. Create content surrounding around kind of like all things investing. I started out in penny stocks way back in the day because I thought that that's how you get started in investing. I actually ended up doing very well in it, though, but then realized the error of my ways and kind of developed a little bit more responsible way of investing and kind of evolved into what I am today. So what's up, man?
Did you learn about penny stocks from Strongman Personal Finance?
I did not. I actually learned it from a family friend who like crushes penny stocks. Like he makes 7 figures a year trading penny stocks and still does it. He's been
Really?
doing it for like 30 years. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He's phenomenal. Phenomenal trader.
Jeez, that makes me a little jealous.
I know. Me too, because I couldn't do it. Like, I mean, I did okay. And I made enough to like kind of live off of. But I never did anything like he did.
So okay, so you started with penny stocks, and now
Yeah.
you're buying. Do you buy index funds, or are you just mostly individual stocks?
It's mostly individual stocks. I have a long-term portfolio that I just have the SPY in, but along with other individual stocks as well, just to kind of like hedge and have a little bit more risk management. But really, it's just individual stocks, picking good companies that I know are going to be around for a while. And you know, situations or times like these is when I try to be more aggressive with my buying. So far, it's been working out this year. It's been great opportunities on some of the sell-offs.
Now, do you have a specific allocation? Like, do you have a certain part of your portfolio? Do you trade it all, by the way, or is it just buy?
So yeah, I mean, I do like a swing. I would say intermediate swing trading. I wouldn't say that I do any kind of day trading or anything like that. If I buy something, there's a good chance that I'm holding on to it for at least a few weeks. Most of the time, it's a few months, and then I have like long-term stuff as well. So you know, I just look at the market itself. You know, areas or sectors of the markets that maybe have been beaten down that you know we've swung the pendulum too far in one direction. So then I look for areas of opportunities, like for example, you know, right now I've kind of been really picking through cybersecurity over the last couple of weeks because there's been some really good opportunities there. And I mean, CrowdStrike has been a real big winner for me over the last, I would say, 3 weeks. So that's kind of how I approach the market. You know, I'm looking for stuff that makes money. I don't really get into things too often that report losses or anything like that. I am in some SoFi and I have some Affirm, but not anything that would make up any kind of giant portion of my portfolio.
Yeah. So, do you have a specific asset allocation? Like, let's say you have like 10% that I trade with, 30% for individuals. Do you have something like that, or is it just kind of like you just?
It's kind of really, to be honest with you, it's kind of off my own intuition. I keep a certain amount of cash on hand for the just in case. But I really try not to. I guess if I had to say, I don't have like a hard discipline on it, but I don't go any more than like 10, 15% in any one position.
Woo! You're bolder than me, man. My
Yeah,
biggest position is 5%. That's
right.
Everybody knows I have Alibaba. That's basically the only stock
Right.
that I have. But
Yeah.
I'm too much of a chicken crap to do anything other than mostly put my money in index funds.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I worked for, I've been working for 10, 12 years, and I've been saving money like crazy. And it just terrifies me to think that I could put all of that hard work, all that 10 years of work that I've done, put it into one freaking stock and then potentially lose it all. So
Yeah. I don't, I mean, and that's the thing that kind of blew me away about like, what's the chicken genius guy, right? Like how much did he put into Tesla? It was like
I
a
think he put
huge
in,
amount, right?
yeah, it was like $200,000 or something like that, which apparently he claims he's like, already well off. And I mean, maybe he is. I don't know. But that's still a pretty large position to put into one stock.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and some of the other bigger YouTubers as well just put, I mean, yeah, obviously Tesla's done well, and I guess hindsight's 2020, and you could say, oh well, you know, we saw this coming type of thing, but in reality, you really didn't. You know what I mean? Like there could have been so many things that have gone wrong, and so many things that could still go wrong. I mean, if you look at fundamentally, Tesla's still overvalued, and I love Tesla. I love the company. I think they're not. I don't think they're going anywhere, and I think they're going to take up a huge market share of the EV market, but they're still overvalued. And we've seen this before just in history. You look at Microsoft, for example, and I use this all the time. When Microsoft went crazy in the early 2000s, and then the dot-com bubble happened, the stock didn't move for 10 years, but the company was still growing like mad. And so I think there's a possibility we see that with Tesla, and that's super risky. And I think that we could be in for a rude awakening for at least a lot of those other YouTubers that have such a huge allocation to one specific stock. To your point,
Yeah, that's why I'm so anti Chicken Genius or basically anybody else that has a massive position in any one stock.
yeah,
Especially if it's a hype stock like Tesla. I think since some people bought it, it's gone up 2,000%. Like that's an insane gain. Now, if I saw that, I would sell. I mean,
yeah,
2,000% is a once in a lifetime return, unless you're like speculating on penny stocks. I would
right.
immediately sell all that and put it into an index fund. But a lot of these clowns, like solving the money problem, I call them solving the truck stop problem, keep buying more. It's like, dude, you made $6 million, you clown. Sell it, put it into an index fund or real estate or whatever, and protect your wealth. But I guess they just can't stop, all the ads and I don't know if they do sponsorships, but I mean, talking about Tesla is what makes them the money, so they can't really stop, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all of these other YouTubers, and I guess to a certain extent, I'm at fault for this a little bit, but they'll shit on Warren Buffett all day long, and the dude is crushing the market right now. Like he's kicking everybody's ass, which is pretty incredible to see, and he has the appropriate allocation. However, you know, he's got 40%. What 40% of the portfolio for Berkshire is made up of Apple. I think there's certain exceptions to the rule, and Apple has proven itself. I mean, it's been around for 40 years. And so I think that there is a little bit of an exception to the rule. I don't see how Apple goes anywhere, but I still say that Tesla's so early on in what it is that they're doing that there's still a large amount of inherent risk there. But you look at some of the other guys, and they don't have they don't even have that same type of allocation, right? Like 40% is still a ton. But I'm seeing 80, 70% wrapped up in the one particular stock. And that to me is just super scary.
Yeah, these people don't know what they're getting themselves into. I mean, I guess they're so caught up in the recent gains
Yeah.
that the way they think it, the way they see it is like, oh, it went up before, and this stock is the future. It's just going to keep going up. But they don't realize the amount of danger they're putting their futures in. I mean, if they lose 80, 90% of their money, which is entirely possible if Tesla
Yes.
doesn't meet growth expectations, they've screwed their entire futures, and they're going to regret it when they're 65, 70 years old, having to work at freaking Walmart or something, when everybody else is retired off index funds.
Yeah, man. I mean, you look at it's so funny. I've been on YouTube for 5 years, and just keep grinding it out. I'm not. I mean, obviously, do I want Meet Kevin type of following? Of course, I think everybody does, but I try to do it the right way, regardless. I've seen a lot of people already come and go. Obviously the pandemic, and with even post pandemic, how things have kind of evolved. Pandemic, my channel blew up. I mean, it went crazy, and a lot of people's did. But the misconception, there's a lot of folks, a lot of investors, I guess, that would come on the channel thinking that like I had just gotten here, and it's like, nah, man, I've been here 3 years before this all happened. It's like everybody came out of the woodwork starting channels, and now we're starting to see the reverse. People like Chicken Genius and some of the other ones that are kind of falling off. And I think that that's what we'll end up seeing, is that we could see a lot of YouTubers or kind of go by the wayside, because this level or this way of trading or investing in the long term just isn't going to work. And so I try to play the long game, not just with my investing, but also with the channel and just content creation in general. Like I want to be here for the next 5 to 10 years or longer, creating and just having a blast on YouTube. And so I think there's a right way and a wrong way to go about doing it. And you can have good short-term success, but I'm not quite sure how sustainable that is. And kind of goes with the type of investing they're doing as well.
Well, I always compare it to index investing versus speculative stock investing. All the speculative guys, oh, sure, they've done so amazing and their channels have exploded and they're making so much money now. But if you, like you said, if you really think about the long run, this crap isn't going to last forever. And if the US market goes, or if Tesla goes, all these guys are going to get annihilated. Whereas people like me or you, I talk about index funds. I mean,
Yeah.
index funds aren't going anywhere. I can do this for the rest of my life if I want to. And if it takes me 5 years, 10 years to get 100K subscribers, that's fine with me. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't my primary source of income. It's kind of a side thing, but it's still fun to do. And I plan to be here for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, man. Likewise. I as we're talking, one person that came to mind was Dave Lee from Dave Lee Investing. Have you followed him before?
Daily investing?
Dave Lee.
Oh, Dave. So yeah, I've heard of him. Isn't he like a Tesla 100% guy? Something like that?
Yes. Very intelligent dude, by the way, though. So it's interesting because he got in essentially at IPO day and has been buying up Tesla ever since. And then it went off, right? And so he's created his wealth off of just Tesla. So it's interesting because of just the level of discipline he's had leading up to now. Like, he's on YouTube, but he doesn't care about making money on YouTube. Like, he doesn't put ads in any of his things. He lives off of Tesla at this point. And so I don't think he's disclosed what he's made, but he's like made, generational wealth for him and his family off of one particular company. And so I guess there's also, like I mentioned before, maybe there's exceptions to the rule, I guess. And I'm sure he's probably taken something off the table so that he can live off of it, but then he just continues to own it as well. I guess there's something to be said about getting in super early and then just hanging on for the long run. But I kind of want to get your thoughts on that as I'm thinking about it too. Like, are there exceptions to the rule? Like, is what he's doing make sense, or is it, or I don't know. What do you think?
I would have to look and see how much Tesla he still has. Now, like I said, I mean, so from my strategy, like I said, is 95% index funds, 5% speculation. So I bought BABA. If BABA 10 or 20x'd like Tesla did, I would sell the vast majority of it or even all of it and move it over to index funds, because then you've created generational wealth because you put your money, you've invested in the world, and unless the world gets destroyed, the money's going to be there forever. Right. But if he's kept the vast majority of his money in Tesla, I don't think he's created generational wealth, because if there's some kind of correction with the stock, he looks wealthy on paper now, but if he has all his money in Tesla, it's going to be gone. So hopefully the guy has sold the vast majority of it and put it somewhere a little bit more conservative. At that point, yeah, I would agree. He's created generational wealth. But if he's still all in Tesla, I don't know. I'm starting to question his sanity a little bit.
I mean, I want to say he bought it at like $7. Like, it was less than $20. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah, that does not happen. I mean, like,
no,
the probability of you buying a stock at $7 that's now, I mean, I wonder if that was like pre-split too.
It was.
He's
yeah.
My God, he's made a fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the probability of people doing that is very low. That's why I say just 5%. You might get lucky. You probably won't.
Right.
And if you do get lucky, take the gains. Don't be freaking greedy and don't think that it's just going to keep going up and up and up. There's got to be a certain limit, or you need to have like a goal in mind. I need X amount of money to retire extremely comfortably. And once you get there, take your freaking profits and live comfortably. But I don't know. I'd have to talk to the guy. Maybe I could, if he was 100% Tesla, I could convince him maybe to sell it. Probably not. But
he's an older guy. I want to say he's probably a middle-aged dude. So, like, I think he worked in software for a while, out in San Fran, so in Silicon Valley. He's one of those guys. So I don't know. I mean, he's some of the arguments he makes is definitely compelling, but there's also times where I'm like, bro, like, can we just stop talking about Tesla all the time? However, it's just amazing to me that there's channels out there that's all they can talk about, and people just come back to watch it. It's wild.
Yeah. So I talked to my friend Jay Nagy. I do streams with him all the time, and me and him are just so tired of Tesla. Tesla. It's like, can this stock just freaking crash already? But
then there's more content for that.
But I've kind of lost hope in the near term, because I think in the next couple of quarters, they'll probably still grow revenues pretty incredibly, because there's so much demand and it's so popular and they're opening factories.
Right.
It's going to take a couple of years, I think, before people start to realize that they've baked in delusional expectations. But in the near term, I'm just going to have to wait and see Tesla everywhere and hear about Elon Musk farting or something, and that's how the stock's going to connect. But yeah, I agree. I'm just freaking tired of it. That's why I try not to talk about it too much.
I do too. I mean, it's crazy. Like I talk about it during earnings times because if you follow my channel, I'll cover a lot of the earnings. So in the afternoon, if there's earnings happening, I usually react to them all. So I try to save Tesla for those times, but then unless there's something super significant happening, I try to avoid talking about it at all costs because it's just like everybody else does. Let's give them something different.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on finance YouTube, you have to talk about it a little bit,
Yeah.
obviously, but as long as you're not talking about it every day, that's something I can't stand. But
Yeah.
I guess
Same.
people are just they're so caught up, like all the people that got in early. I mean, imagine if you saw 1,000, 2,000% gain.
Right.
It might affect your emotional behavior, it might affect you pretty deeply. So a lot of these
Yeah.
people are just so caught up in it that I don't know, they can't get enough of it.
It's like the AMC crowd, right? I mean, they a lot of those guys bought in at $3 a share and then saw it go up to 70 some dollars and now are expecting the similar type of move. I would imagine that either the people that are in AMC either also own Tesla and bought it at the lows, or thought that they missed out on Tesla. Maybe AMC is their saving grace, right? And so like that same type of mentality, there's like this cult like mentality surrounding around stocks like these, and that's something that has always um blow me away. Just like the psychological impact, not just on one person, but like a group of people in a particular stock. I've never been like that. And I don't know if that makes me kind of the minority, but I just never been so crazy about one particular company. I make my money and I'm out like that, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, well, in my opinion, there's really two groups of people. There's people that want to get rich quick. Maybe they're lower middle class or they're poor and they don't have a good job prospects and they've been struggling their whole life. And people like that tend to fall more for the 10x stock crowd because they think, oh, if I just buy this stock, I can solve all my financial problems. And then there's another group of people that are like, yeah, that's complete BS. You have to focus on your income, your job, your work, and then save diligently over your lifetime. So, I mean, when you compare those two groups of people, they're totally different. And
Yeah.
obviously the people that are not doing too well, they're probably more attracted to that crowd. And people that are probably doing better, they're more attracted to like, what I talk about or you talk about long-term investing. So
Right.
that's a big difference there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's interesting too. I have a buddy of mine who just came on the channel, on my channel this past week. He was also a same type of situation. He was an early investor in Bitcoin. Bought it in 2012. Bought a shit ton of it. But he was also a startup. He had founded 3 startups and sold them. So like he was an entrepreneur before any of this, and then made a bunch of money through Bitcoin and has created businesses now surrounding around cryptocurrency and what have you. But I think that's a perfect example, as we were talking about, Dave Lee and Tesla, where he sold enough of it. He sold a good chunk of it to be able to do all kinds of other stuff with it. To where now, bro, he's like he's invested like $35 million and raised another 20 to build a mining facility that's probably going to be one of the largest ones in the country. Like he's doing stuff with his money as well, rather than just like sitting on it hoping that it's just going to continue to go crazy because of the volatility, right? At least he still has enough of it to make an impact if it goes one way or the other, but he also has sold enough to where he can do whatever he wants with the money that he's made off of it.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I mean, like talking about crypto, knowing which crypto is gonna succeed to me is just crazy. Like you can't predict which because they're all basically the same. I mean, I know some people will get pissed when I say that, but
They're
it's
all
all the
penny
same
stocks
crap.
at the end of the day. I mean, unless you own Bitcoin, Ethereum, or one of the bigger ones, one of the stable coins, they're all penny stocks at the end of the day. They're all essentially just, that's how I treat them. They're all startup companies.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what you want to do is if you make money, like that guy did, all you got to do is maybe make a brokerage where it doesn't matter what crypto is being traded at the moment or what's popular. You're making money no matter what, or doing some
Right.
kind of mining company. If you're mining a bunch of different, I don't know how many cryptos are mined, but that's the way you could actually probably end up a lot better off instead of going all in ape coin. Have you heard of that, by the way? This ape coin?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't dug too much into it, but yeah, I have heard of it. There's so many of them, man.
Every week it's like I dump on Tesla people, but the crypto ones are just I hate it. Every week there's a new freaking coin, and then the funniest thing is they'll pump coins and then they'll just get obliterated and they'll just stop talking about it, and their fans don't care.
No.
It's like, come on, your fans probably just lost 90, 95% of their money and they just go back for more.
I mean, it's I equate crypto people, those types of crypto people to CrossFit people. Kind of like the same mentality. They're just this crazy cult, you know. Um, but I mean, well, same thing like with AMC. Just going back to AMC, speaking of apes, um, you know, Adam Aaron sells a huge chunk of his stake in the company, and nobody bats an eye. And he goes off and starts talking about popcorn and goes and buys a gold company. And like, I'm like, what do people actually see in this? I'm just completely mind blown at the entire thing. Like, I don't know. It's a straight up religion. It's like, who's gonna drink the Kool-Aid after this? And like, it's gonna be all those AMC investors. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I've criticized the ape crowd before, and you should see the like to dislike ratio in some of those
Oh
videos.
my God, same.
Oh, it's like 5% likes. It's like it's just so bad.
Yeah, and I try to tread pretty carefully, right? Like I try not to shit on them too bad. A little bit probably in contrast to your abrasiveness at times, but
Yeah, I just don't
I
care.
try to at least be diplomatic at times, and even that I still get like just chewed up and spit out from the AMC crowd.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, I don't mind the like to dislike ratio or the mean comments. It literally doesn't bother me because I'm
Right?
so convinced that all this stuff is so stupid that whatever
Yes.
people say, I'm just like, okay, you're an idiot. But with some of
Right.
the AMC people, like I've said this many times, they're very scummy people. Not all of them, obviously, but there's some kind of weird thing going on in that crowd where you got
Yes.
like criminals and people that'll threaten you, like I'm gonna kill you, boy. Criticize AMC. It gets wild. So it's like, oh my god, okay, jeez, it's
I've
not
never
that
seen
serious.
anything like it. I've been investing for 10 years. I've never seen anything like it.
I mean, part of me thinks it's because like we have Wall Street. Oh, Wall Street screwed us in the during the housing crash, and there's a lot of anger built up against wealthy people or elites. And I
Yeah.
think part of that anger is being channeled through the AMC movement. But the sad thing is, Wall Street's still probably making a fortune off of you know these poor people doing what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing is too is that I think those people, like, their direction is misguided, right? Like, yeah, Wall Street certainly has had their hand in it, but this all comes down to cronyism, and we've talked about this. Me and my partner in crime, my co-host, have talked about this a lot. It's like people, and that's what, like, oh, we're gonna stick it to the short sellers or what have you, and then all the drama that happened with Robinhood when GameStop and some of the other ones went off. It's like the anger, yes, directly. It seems directly your anger makes sense as far as like getting angry at Robinhood or getting angry at Wall Street or what have you. But you have to dig a little bit deeper and realize that there's cronyism here. It goes all the way to the White House. It goes all the way to Capitol Hill. Like that's where the decisions truly get made. And like Robinhood, Vlad Tenev didn't break any laws. He just did everything within the confines of the law. So jumped through loopholes and what have you to stay alive. And so it really wasn't anything that he did that was wrong. And so if you're mad, if you're angry at Wall Street, it all goes back to Congress. It all goes back to cronyism and people doing favors for each other. I mean, we're just now seeing how senators and representatives of the House are outperforming the market like crazy, and nobody's even had this top discussion before about how it's a huge conflict of interest. I worked for T. Rowe Price before I left and went on the YouTube, huge investing firm, and I was very limited on the amount of trades that I could do, and I was blown away that senators and House and representatives of Congress can just do whatever they want. Like I was blown away.
Yeah, and they have so much insider information. I'm not
Yeah,
surprised in the slightest that they're making a fortune, but there's really nothing you can do. That's why I
no,
always say, don't worry about it. I mean, all you have to
right,
do if you want to fight Wall Street or fight the man is buy an index fund. And it's people laugh at me, but if you think about it, index funds basically don't charge any fees. Some don't. Some literally charge zero fees at
yeah,
Fidelity. So if you
right.
want to deprive Wall Street or the man of money, buy a freaking index fund, and then you'll do a lot more to fight the system than you will freaking buying AMC or GME or whatever other stupid stocks are being pumped today.
Yeah. Be boring.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I have to act like a freaking clown, because all I can't just, you need to buy index funds, they're good, and just say that over and over again. Like, yeah, I don't think I would have a big following at that point. So,
No. What about like other forms of like real estate? Real estate's pretty safe too, right? I mean, for the most part, we've only seen one crash technically for in our lifetime as far as the real estate market's concerned. Is there a place uh, in your heart for real estate as far as that's concerned?
no.
No.
And
Okay.
there's a couple. I mean, like, so if you buy a total US or total world index fund, you're owning real estate investment trusts. So you do have exposure to that sector of the market without
Yeah.
having to go buy an individual house. But what concerns me about real estate is diversification, number one, and number two, the time sink. So diversification, let's say you're in your town and you buy up a couple homes. Well, you're very exposed to the real estate market in that one freaking town. And it's only in one country, in one country, or one city, one state, one country. So if that market goes to crap, you're screwed. And then on top of that, you have to spend so much time dealing with stupid tenants and repairs. And I mean, you can make money on real estate. I'm not denying that. But to me, it's just too much work. It's a lot easier to dollar cost average into a total world index fund and focus on, increasing my skills and my income. But
Right.
you want to take that route, be my guest.
Yeah. I've always thought about not really like investing in real estate, but like if I wanted to get a vacation home, for example, just Airbnb-ing it out, and then that's how I would be investing in real estate. I'm going to buy the house anyway, but I know I'm not going to use it all year round. So if I'm not using it, I might as well be making money off of it. But that's kind of like the extent of my own thoughts on real estate, because I agree. Like there's a lots of risks involved with that as well, and sometimes the amount of work that you put in it kind of seems like the juice isn't always worth the squeeze. Where you could just buy some numbers on a screen that are always going to go up.
Yeah, in the long run.
Yeah, right.
Maybe not in the short term, but
Right.
yeah, for me, it's a lot easier. Like I like to do highly profitable businesses. So I used to tutor online, and I might go back to that once tax season's over. Basically 100% profits. I mean, my expenses are electricity,
Right.
Or YouTube, almost 100% profitability. My expenses are what? My home's depreciation. Like that's the kind of business I like, as opposed to going into real estate and putting all that time into it and all that effort, and maybe I'll see a profit at some time in the future. And if you think about the market now, it's so inflated. Real estate's so expensive now. I think in the long run, if you're buying right now, you might not make positive returns for a long, long, long time. You have to be really selective.
Yeah, I think that there's going to come a point to where, and we're already starting to see it. I mean, we're starting to see demand for real estate come down some, especially as interest rates are going right back up. I think in the short term, we'll probably see it go up a little bit more, just because I think there's some FOMO out there, and like in a sense of, oh, well, interest rates are going up, I better get a house now because they're going to keep going up. But yeah, I think there's going to be probably a serious plateau. I don't know, not necessarily like a crash or anything like that. Maybe a little bit of a pullback, but I'm with you. I think that there's probably going to be a solid decade where houses just go nowhere. And in the meantime, you probably could have been putting that money somewhere else to work better for you.
Yeah, like I don't want to stake my fortune on real estate appreciation. I mean, it always comes down to the simple question: do I want to own every company in the world, Walmart, Apple, Amazon, blah 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 blah, or do I want to own one house or one apartment? I mean, to me, it's a simple answer. Of course, I want to own every company in the world, and that's my guiding philosophy. But hey, if you want to invest in real estate, anybody that's watching, I would say start with REITs. It's super easy. You buy it, boom, you're done.
And a lot of them have really good dividends too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of dividends, are you a dividend fan?
It's interesting that you say that. So I'm not really necessarily investing in anything specifically because of dividends, but me and my other business partner have created a automatic trading bot based off of dividends. So it'll go in before the X date and be out afterwards, and kind of generate income off of that. but it also has another strategy based off of 50-day moving averages and whatever. It's been pretty successful. We've had it running for about the last 18 months, and it's outperformed the market last year and this year so far, which is pretty exciting. Just another, I guess, toy to play with, but it's been really kind of cool to see how that's operated. But by and large, no, I don't really like look into investing in dividends for that sole purpose of just getting the dividend. It's kind of like
Yeah.
icing on the cake, if you will.
Yeah, that's like one thing that bothers me about a lot of these channels is, like I don't think a lot of people really understand what a dividend is. Coming from an accounting background, I
Yeah,
know that when a dividend's paid, it's coming out of the equity of the company, which means the value of the company goes down. So the value of the company goes down by basically the exact percentage of the dividend. So
yeah,
it's literally nothing other than a taxable event. That's why I'd
right,
rather own a stock that, doesn't pay dividends but still grows earnings massively. And I don't have to pay any tax because I can just let that price appreciate. But a lot of people think dividends are just like, oh, it's free money from the sky. So all you got to do is just buy a high yield stock and you get 13%. It's like, no, you have to look at total return. That's what matters at the end of the
right,
day.
right. And if you look at it in the near term after the dividend gets issued, the stock doesn't usually do well. You look at Verizon, Coke, AT&T, all the old aristocrats. Um, they usually, it's like a cycle. The dividend gets issued, everybody's out, and then it just kind of sits there because the growth isn't really there like it used to be. And so that's kind of why people invest in those stocks in general. But that's always one thing that kind of has blown my mind. Like I've had grandparents and older people that are in my life that they live off of those dividends. That's their retirement. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, but okay, like maybe that's something that if you're obviously risk averse because you're older and you don't want to expose yourself to too much, but why not just also have a little bit into something like an Apple or uh, Microsoft, whatever, something that's going to give you some growth as well, because it's like we know how long these companies have been around and they're just not going anywhere. Or to your point, VT or something like that, where you're going to see some sort of growth on top of some, steady income from a dividend, such as like a Verizon or something like that. That's one thing that's always kind of like I've never really been able to wrap my head around. And maybe it's just because they're older and they've had some professional, quote unquote professional, tell them that this is what they're supposed to do. But when you think logically, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just be in dividends for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, and you can actually create a much more predictable stream of income by simply dividing your portfolio between stocks and very short-term bonds. Because like my,
Yeah.
my retirement plan is I'm going to have 70% VT, 30% short-term bonds. And every year, at the beginning of every year, I'm going to sell 4% of my portfolio, all from the bonds. I'm going to deposit that money into my savings account. So it'll be like 80 grand. And then every month or every 2 weeks, it's going to auto transfer into my checking. So I get this steady stream of income. I don't have to wait for a dividend payment and I'm
Right.
good. And then you
Right.
still get all the growth and price appreciation from, owning every stock in the world. So the
Right.
whole dividend thing is very odd to me, but I guess some people like it and it's cool to see the numbers go up. I don't know, see the numbers come into your bank, but I think there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, I guess the only exception, like I say, there's always exceptions to the rules. One of the best dividend stocks that I've ever seen has been Costco, just because obviously they have growth there as well, but then they have a regular income or regular dividend, but they also issue special dividends, which many times are massive. I mean, we're talking $7-10 a share, and really, uh, you know, the employees, because when I worked for T Row, they were our client. The employees love that. Um, whereas like the company outperforms, for a year or two or what have you, and then they give the special dividend out, and they can choose to reinvest it, or they can choose to take the money or what have you. But those special dividends were crazy. It's one of the only companies that actually have seen do it quite like they do.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, it always goes back to okay. Well, they paid a special dividend, which is nice. It's cool to see the $7 or whatever a share.
Right.
But the company also could have. Well, first of all, the stock price probably goes down, And then
Yeah.
second of all, they could have just reinvested the money into another business venture. So it always goes back to that. Like, I don't hate dividends. And obviously, if you want some kind of return from a company, eventually you're going to have to get a dividend. But I would not stake everything on just having dividend stocks for the sake of dividends. You want to own everything: growth, value, dividend payers, even crappy penny stocks. I mean, I'm sure we have those in VT too. It's good to have everything, and then you can create your own cash flow with bonds.
Right. Yeah, I think Vanguard. Yeah, they own some penny stocks. I think I think one of them. I don't know if it's the VT, but one of the Vanguard funds does own Clover. I saw that they bought up a significant amount of that, so they have Clover Health. So they do own some penny stocks out there as well.
Well,
I
you can
guess
also
maybe
go,
just
like,
in
I
case
like going
one of
on
them pops
VT.
off.
Yeah,
What's
so
up?
you can go on the Vanguard website, and they actually have a list of every stock in VT.
Yeah, right.
Or yeah, they do. And it's like 9,000 stocks, and you can filter it and look at the smallest allocations. And you're like, what are these stocks? What is this crap? But yeah, you literally own almost everything when you
Yeah,
buy into VT. It's pretty fun.
9,000 holdings. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that much. That's crazy.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'll look real quick. But yeah, it's a massive amount of
That's
stock. I mean,
wild.
it literally is almost every stock in the world. But like, the thing with index funds is they don't necessarily have to own every single stock, as long as they track the index closely. So, you could have a little bit of tracking error
Yeah.
with an index, but it's still going to be pretty close as long as they don't screw it up too bad.
What does VT return on average? Do you know?
I'll pull it up right now. Let's see. I'll even share my screen.
Oh, look out.
Well, this is high tech right here. You learning something from me, boy? So 10-year, okay, this is VT, right? Yep. So, 10-year compounded return is 12%, which is pretty freaking good. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but
Yeah.
that's pretty good in my opinion. 3 years, 20%, 5 years, 14. Because you basically just own all the stocks that have been killing it. You go look at the yeah, here's the top 10 holdings. Now, what I like is you're not ultra concentrated in a bunch of high growth US tech stocks. The top
Yeah.
10 are only 15%, but Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla.
Right.
Here, let's see the holdings right here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yep, 9,359.
That's insane. Does it make you nervous at all to see such a large amount of it in emerging markets right now?
No, because honestly, in the long run, I would rather own emerging markets. They're super volatile,
Yeah.
and obviously they're developing countries, and they probably don't have good, laws to regulate the finance industry.
Well,
But
given the geopolitical landscape right now.
yeah, I just don't care. It's just so it's so insignificant when you think in a 30 or 40-year time frame. It's like, okay, yeah, even if there's a massive global war, I'm still going to own emerging markets, because I think in 30, 40 years, it ain't going to freaking matter. You have any of these stocks? Weichai, Holcim. That's pretty hilarious.
That is hilarious. Stuff I've just never heard of.
Yeah, that's VT. Are you getting more tempted to buy VT now? Are you gonna go all in?
Probably not. But I think I think as I get older, I'm 36. I think as I get older, I will start to move towards being in some sort of fund. So the VT certainly could be an option as far as that's concerned, because as you get older, your timeline is getting shorter as far as your time on this earth, and I know that I'm not going to be working for the rest of my life. I'd like to be able to just kind of chill and do whatever I want. Not that I'm not doing that already, which is pretty awesome. But
make me jealous.
Yeah.
Man, I'm working crazy hours. This is nuts.
I work crazy hours too. It's just at a different, I guess, capacity. But
yeah, but you're on your own time though. It's like, I got to be at work 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then I got to go to the gym, and then it's like, oh god, I have no time.
Yeah.
That'll be over soon.
Bro, I hated that life. I hated it, and I don't think I could ever go back to that. Like if YouTube just somehow like went away one day, I would figure out how to start another business and just work for myself. I I couldn't do it anymore. And the crazy part is that when I worked at T Rowe, it was a great job. It was a great career. I could have retired there making and done very well for myself. People were good. I was just bored out of my mind. I wasn't challenged. I wasn't, I didn't feel like I had any kind of purpose there. But it's been great. The YouTube life has been awesome.
Yeah, that's why I quit my government job. I used to work for NASA, which everybody, oh my God, you work for NASA. That's so cool. I was a freaking accountant at NASA. There's nothing special about it. But I was so bored. Like for work, you didn't do anything, especially for the first 2-3 weeks of the month. It's just like, what am I doing? Why do I have to sit here? But what I like about this new tax job, at least for now, is like I am constantly working and I am getting challenged because even though, I have a CPA license, I've never really done taxes before. So I'm learning a ton about it. I'm working all day constantly. And then eventually it'll set me up where if I ever want to do my own tax business, eventually I'll have the skills to do that. But yeah I'm not going to do that forever where, I work for somebody else for the next 30 years because I'm more of like I guess I'm more entrepreneurial and I like having multiple streams of income. So maybe sometime in the future, I'll be on YouTube. I'll be doing taxes, tutoring, whatever I got to do to, generate enough to survive.
Yeah. So that was the next question I was going to ask you was like, given that you have your CPA, it gives you a lot of power, it gives you the opportunity to kind of do what you want and start your own thing if you wanted to do. So it's pretty cool to hear that maybe that's something you're considering doing.
Oh yeah. Cause so when I was in the Army, I was infantry and infantry, like I think you think about what job could you get as an infantry guy? Yeah. Nothing. Right. And when I was getting out, I was like, oh my God, I don't have anything. I'm worthless, basically. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a freaking skill, and I am never going to be in this situation again where I have no way to find employment. So boom, I did my bachelor's in accounting, master's, CPA, all this crap. And now, I'm in a position where, especially once I get more tax experience, like I have a lot of leverage. Everybody wants to hire accountants. Everybody wants tax accountants.
Yeah. So I pay my accountant a stupid amount of money.
Yeah. Especially, there's actually another guy on YouTube. I'm going to interview him after tax season.
Yeah.
But he's a young dude and he worked for public accounting for a couple of years and he started his own business and, it sounds like he's making bank.
Oh yeah. I
want to know all his secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine the overhead isn't that much either. So, you can charge a lot and not have to spend a lot.
Yeah, because like the firm I work for now, like they have an office and they got rent and all. They have employees. If I was to do my own thing, I don't want any freaking employees. Maybe I'll employ my wife as to help me do admin stuff.
Yeah,
but I'm not freaking having this office. I'm going to work from home, just like YouTube or whatever. So it's highly profitable because I'm not going to grind taxes just so I only get $100,000 of profits. With all the licensure and stuff. So that's kind of the long-term goal. But, I need to get really good at taxes before I do that. I don't want to screw people over and then get sued or something.
Right. All right. I was just looking at some of these comments have been great. These comments have been great.
I'm here.
Is that the Tom Nash or is it a fake Tom Nash?
No, I think that's him. That's Tom
What's
Nash.
up, Tom? I actually reached out to him on Twitter. So if you're still watching, I wanted to have Tom on my show as well. It's been really tough. I don't know if you guys have been watching, or for those if there's any fans from Own the Chaos in here, we know that Fat Man Zoom has been going through some tough times. He's got brain cancer, so not been without my co-host for some time. So I've been trying to have some other guests on the channel. So
now he's hanging out with losers like me.
So a little bit of a shameless plug, I guess. But I am trying to have other guests on the channel. I go live every single day. So it's been lonely, man. It's been lonely being by myself.
Just call me. If you ever feel alone and sad, just give me a ring and I'll talk to you and make you feel better. Yeah, Tom,
I have a 1,300 square foot. I have a 1,300 square foot studio, and it's just me in there. And it's super lovely. I'm like,
that must be kind of weird. That's almost as big as my freaking house, dude. I'm not even lying. But Tom, stop being a dick. Answer his Twitter message.
Yeah.
Let's see. I did see some good comments about they're asking me about like the situation in Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell y'all what.
Oh, perfect. Oh, hold on one sec. Tom's Tom, it's at Own the Chaos on Twitter. I appreciate it, man.
I'll try and find your DM. Okay.
I'm sure he gets tons of them. So
Yeah, I'm connecting everybody. I'm making friends
I
here.
love it. I love it.
I like being the middleman, the coordinator. Let's see.
So I know
Ouch.
that obviously you have a long-term approach and none of it actually matters to you, but I think that we wouldn't be doing anybody any service. I don't want to say that, I guess, but I know there's on the top of a lot of people's minds. But just current situation with what's going on with interest rates and inflation, and obviously things going on geopolitically. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, I guess some of it's got to cross your mind a little bit. Like, where do you think we could be headed over the next year or two or five?
Well, in my personal opinion, just looking at the global situation, I think US stocks are due for a massive correction, crash, whatever. Because if you look, you compare the US GDP to the market cap of US stocks, our GDP is 25% of the world
Right.
and our market cap is 60%, which to me is freaking insane. And the US has had an amazing run over the US stocks over the past 10, 15 years. To me, it's almost like a danger signal to be in US stocks. Now, I
Yeah.
still own them because I'm a long term guy. But if I was thinking more near term, I would probably have a lot more money in international indices because I think those are going to outperform. So, I mean, if you want to speculate, I would look outside the United States, in my humble opinion.
Well, what are your thoughts on the argument that a lot of people are making right now, especially that you know if you're not in equities, where else do you put the money? Because we have crazy inflation. Bonds certainly aren't making you any money. So, and staying in cash obviously doesn't make any sense because you're losing 10% of your money every year or year over year right now. So, like, um, what do you say to people who try to make that argument?
I mean, I would say if you don't want to buy stock, I mean, yeah, stocks are probably the only game in town. I think if you look at like long term historical returns, yeah, stocks crush everything except
Yeah.
maybe Bitcoin, shit
Right.
coin. But yeah, if you want to invest in something else, this may sound cheesy, but you might want to invest in like yourself or starting a business because that's a good way to
Yeah.
pull your cash instead of putting it in bonds or something. Maybe buy a light and a mount and a computer, and then you can start a YouTube channel or start some kind of online business. That's another way you could deploy your money to actually get a good return. Because if you think about it, like I bought this camera, it was like $30, and this freaking mic, this is probably like $50.
Yeah.
And that was a one-time expense. That was an investment. It wasn't stocks, but now I'm making money on YouTube. So
I
that's
love
just
that.
something else to consider.
I love that. I actually have a buddy of mine who was he's a sports analyst for a radio station. He just got fired, and I told him, I was like, "Bro, do your thing on YouTube. Invest in yourself." I said it doesn't cost that much, and you have all these connections. Like you could probably do way better than actually being on radio. So yeah, I love that response. Tom said we need to talk about the petrodollar. And Tom, I would love to talk about that because I just had Peter Saddington, huge Bitcoin guy. I think there's a potential watershed moment for something like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general because of how the dollar's been weaponized with sanctions, right? And obviously, of course, if I was president, I would have done the same thing as far as sanctioning, weaponizing the dollar to a certain extent. However, there are consequences to everything. I think this could potentially be a consequence of that. Is that could be a watershed moment for something like Bitcoin, and we're seeing a little bit of that already. So I got some thoughts from Peter Saddington, another guest I had on, guy I told you about, Chris, and so I think that's going to be very interesting to see how things kind of develop as far as that's concerned, especially between like India, China, and Russia, and how they kind of view the dollar moving forward.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one. Like I'm not super knowledgeable on petrodollars and stuff like that, but I
Yeah,
mean, when I think about it from a common sense perspective, when you're trying to think which currency will be the global reserve currency, you look at the eurozone. It's kind of unstable. I mean, obviously there's a war in Ukraine,
right,
and the European Union has had lots of trouble. I mean, freaking England left. So the
right,
stability of that currency, I don't know. I don't know if that would be a potential global reserve currency. And then you look at China. China's probably the other contender because they're the second largest economy, but they also have a very authoritarian government that does stupid things sometimes. So I mean, really, it's between the dollar, the yuan, or whatever the Chinese currency is, and the euro. I think for the near term, we're still not going to have any major issues with the dollar not being used or not being the reserve currency. But maybe in 20 or 30 years, I think China would probably be the biggest competitor.
I think there's some truth to that. I think also, and I agree. I don't think it's going to be something that happens overnight, but I think there's something to be said. There's got to be some wheels turning for some of these other countries that are like, well, holy shit, the U.S. just did this to a country because of the power that they have with the dollar. So we have Bitcoin over here that isn't regulated like that. That doesn't give power to somebody like the U.S. Can we capitalize on that? I don't necessarily know what that looks like, but I think it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I mean anything's possible. Number one, China hates cryptocurrency. So think about the two largest economies in the world. You got China and you got the United States.
Yes,
China basically banned crypto, so that's gone there.
right.
And then in the United States, I mean, we're friendly with crypto now, but if crypto started to threaten the U.S. dollar, I think we would lay the friggin' hammer on that. So
Yeah.
personally, I'm not super bullish on crypto. If other countries are like, oh, maybe we could just buy Bitcoin, bro, instead of the dollar, use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there would be a massive backlash from the United States.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they actually got ahead of the curve on that, though. Because if they don't, then maybe it gets to a point to where they can't control it. They can't do much about it. Kind of like the internet, right? Like the internet obviously is throttled in certain countries such as China, but it still exists because you can't stop it. And the more that you try to stop it, the more empowered it actually gets. It's so funny. I looked back on some people just speculating about the internet back in the 90s. I can't remember who said it, but that the internet was going to be like the fax machine or what have you. Like it was going to like be obsolete one day. I'm like, yeah, that didn't turn out so well. But and I think that cryptocurrency in general, there's going to be ones that just continue to just stick out. And obviously, I'm not talking about some of the shit coins, but ones I don't think it goes away. And I think a lot of it has to do with just security and where things are going, especially on the cybersecurity side. And some people are having, I guess, difficulty wrapping their head around it. And I'll be honest, I'm still very, I guess, green as far as that's concerned. But
yeah, I mean the technology, obviously, I think it's pretty cool and interesting. Like I'm not an expert on freaking crypto technology, but the technology probably will be adapted, improved, and integrated into our lives. It just always goes back to, well, which freaking crypto is going to be the one that actually succeeds? And I have no freaking idea, and I am completely staying out of that market because that's the kind of market where your investments can go to zero because there really is no fundamental underpinning to any of those. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think the technology is not going anywhere, and it will be used in the future.
Especially like with NFTs and stuff, which I know is still like wild, but I try to look at NFTs as a real world use case basis. I mean, everybody right now are creating like, crazy JPEG characters and spending millions of dollars on them, which I think is very much in a bubble. Like that's not going to last. But the security of the NFTs is what I find interesting because those NFTs now can be used for house deeds or insurance policies, things that you don't need paper for anymore, which I think is going to really throw people for a loop that have, especially those who are older than our generation. But I think the NFT space is just getting started, but I think it's going to be more like real world, not this crazy ass, bored ape shit. So that's actually pretty exciting to kind of see how that might develop.
Yeah, eventually, once like all these technologies become really established, and I think eventually there'll be mass adoption. But even with like NFTs, I mean, now if you're buying that crap now, God bless you.
Yes,
I
don't want no part of
it.
Wrecked. Yeah, 100%.
You will lose money listening to some of these clowns.
Sometimes.
You're talking about us, James?
Sometimes. I invested in Penn National, and I am definitely not profitable in that.
Penn National,
but still hanging on to it. Yeah, so I've had a big position in Penn National for the last year, and obviously the casinos have not been doing pretty well, not been doing all that great. But I actually look at just the exposure they have to Barstool. People who are on my channel know how much I love Barstool and the actually this is Barstool.
I can see it on I can see it on your jacket.
But the crazy part about sports betting right now is that like all these gambling companies are throwing stupid money at marketing because they're trying to just scoop up as much market share as they can. And I can't stand companies or businesses that try to just grow at all costs, that continue to just be unprofitable forever with no actual timeline on when they're going to make money. Whereas like Penn National is in a whole different ballgame because they own, or they will own, half of Barstool, and they have so much exposure to all of the stoolies that are over there. There's about 70 million of them, and that they don't have to spend money on to reach. And so the profitability is there. They expect to be profitable on the sports betting side of their business by next year, whereas like something like DraftKings has no idea when they'll be profitable because they can't stop spending money.
Yeah, people don't think about profitability. They just think, oh, the revenue grew really fast. That's awesome. It's like, dude, you got to make money, you clowns. You can't just grow revenue forever. So
that's why I can't stand like Uber. Uber drives me crazy.
I hate that stock.
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, why are people buying this? Can somebody explain this to me? They're just losing money every freaking year. And if they lose money, they're just going to have to dilute you. They have to issue more shares and more shares and more shares. It's just a joke.
Yeah, but don't get me started on weed stocks.
Weed stocks?
Yeah, that's exactly what you described. Like every weed stock does exactly that.
What about Planet 13, bro? You know, Jeremy's big on that one.
Or Tattoo Chef.
Tattoo Taint, yeah.
Yeah, right. Jeremy didn't happen to look at how much they actually convert into shares.
Yeah, I can't wait for that stock to die. I mean, it's already been butchered, but what shocked me was they had a really bad quarter. Like their gross margin was 2%, and the stock didn't even plummet. I was like, was that already baked into the stock price? Is it such a trash company that everybody already expected it to have a 2% gross margin?
Well, yeah, and you have to also consider, sometimes, people always talk about how the market's irrational. There's always perceived value. So like if there's enough investors in there that still feel like in Jeremy's case, for example, and there's probably a huge following of his that are still in that still believe in it, that perceived value is probably not going to change depending on, no matter what kind of quarter they're having. So you might not see that much. So I would venture to say that there's probably a large or a vast amount of hedge funds or larger investors that are mostly out, and now the only other people that are in are people like that.
Oh yeah, honestly, like when the stock didn't crash after earnings, I was like, it's got to be because the only holders of this stock are YouTubers and their fans. That's the only thing propping this company up.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, I'm about to close it out. I need more coffee, but does anybody have any final questions for old B Smith here?
Oh, I see Shock City Rocker in there. He's one of my followers. I've seen him. Yeah, there he is.
Is that actually your face, dude? Yeah, Jeremy's a moron. Like I've made so many videos about. He's my favorite YouTuber to make fun of because there's just so much comedy material there. He is an idiot, especially like look what happened to Honest. I mean, I've been saying it forever. It's highly unprofitable. There's nothing special about that company. The revenue gets shellacked and the stock gets obliterated. I mean, it's these things are not hard to call, ladies and gentlemen. You just do some basic common sense analysis.
That's it, man. Just have some logic about you.
Yeah. I'm really pissed. Nobody gave me $1,000 super chats. I don't know if you know this guy named Mike Stathis, but he's been criticizing me and calling me a grifter because I take super chats. So in every he's like a neo-Nazi, but in every video I'm like, here, give me all your money, man. Oh, here we go.
There it is. There it is.
All right. Well, any last words, comments, stock shills? Anything?
No, man. I mean, so if you guys want to follow me, I appreciate you having me on. But if you guys want to follow me, you want to check me out, I'm actually going to be live this evening for Stock Watch Sunday. I go over I have a live stream that goes over the week ahead and what we can expect. So if you guys want to go check me out, I also go live Monday through Thursday at 3:45 p.m. to cover whatever's going on in the market. Lots of times it's earnings related. But if you guys want to come check me out, go to Own the Chaos on YouTube. You could also follow me at Own the Chaos on Twitter, and love to see you guys over there. Thanks so much for having me on, man.
Not a problem. You have a wonderful Sunday.
You too. See you guys.